It's good coffee. Along with music, I have a massive archive of spoken word content as MP3 or MP4 audio on my mobile phone's SD card, which I'm constantly listening to when I'm not in the mood for music. Yesterday, it randomly dominoed onto the next track, which surprisingly to me was a really old conversation between SIRIAS and PROTEUS that I hadn't heard in ages. Link below. PROTEUS to me is probably my favourite MGTOW content producer in terms of his ability to clearly communicate pedestrian and everyday life with red pill reality, the most potent kind of communication in my book. Love the guy's stuff. I selfishly wish he'd start producing content again, but he's probably gone his own way and good luck to him. Anyway, on to the topic. I want to talk about a concept that came to me the other day, and the realization I came to was this. Men are forever doing things for women as proof of their love, while women are just promising to a man. Women have this condition that he act first, so he risks, as we know men do, and we've talked about it a fair bit, because men are the risk takers. But the unfulfilled promise by her just keeps continuing. It goes round and round, continues to believe that next time it'll be different, i.e. Nawalt, or my girlfriend's different. What's the joke? How do you define marriage? It's the delusion that one woman differs from another. This hopeful cycle that men repeat, regardless of whether she lives up to her promise, is an interesting one I observed. You know, you want to talk about who's the romantic one. It says it all there. Men are the internal optimists. When it comes to women, a man's essentially walking into a car lot, looking at a shiny new red car and going, I'll take it. Whereas women are quite rationally saying, I want to take a test drive, open the hood, what's the mileage? They get it tested, and then they take their time before buying it, quite shrewdly keeping the car salesman on the hook. But it's quite interesting how most men are completely stupid in this regard. And yes, okay, if you're aware enough, you can recognize the Freudian male mother need and all the rest of it that's biologically induced and etc., etc. But most of the time people aren't conscious of this. People are walking around on autopilot because they're relaxed. I mean, who wants to be in a constant neurotic and attentive state where they're forever in their head and they don't relax? I mean, meditation is staying out of your own head. So when you're going with the flow, you're around your friends, family, and yes, even with a woman, you naturally want to let go and be in the meditative state where you're not preoccupied in your brain. But unfortunately today, you need to be, and I think you need to be in an interested way, not in a neurotic defensive way. So it's how you approach things, you know. He keeps believing in the best of women while being shown over and over again everything to the contrary. You know, it might be a combination of men's risk-taking along with a spirit of adventure, a million people trying to sail across the ocean and only Columbus comes back. All it takes is one person to defy everyone else, and then everything else is possible. Now, I'm not putting women in that regard because they're not places in the world that are fixed. Women are anything but fixed. They're very much hour to hour, day to day. See, men don't ask for proof from women. Men tend to love women like they'd love their daughter. Women don't at all. You tell this to guys and it kind of makes sense, but it's like convenient information that's all nice and interesting, but it's all about how horny they feel when they're in front of a woman. That's all that matters, the reality of those feelings in the moment. But look at the stark difference. He doesn't need any proof. The only proof he needs of a woman is that she's there and that he's happy with his attention of her. But a woman's always wanting proof. Ask me out, take me out, show me love, buy me the ring. When are we getting married? Where's this going? It's always questions, questions, questions. You know, the proverbial nagging. It's always this continual proof that women tend to need and want. But the moment a guy does, note the offense on a woman's face that you dare ask for proof. What, don't you trust me? You know, it's reflected in the rape hysteria where listen and believe women. Women don't need to provide proof. They don't need to show anything. Just believe them because they're female. What does it tell you? What does it tell you about your own psychology, more or less? It's not so much get pissed off as women. They are the way they are. But what does it tell you about yourself? That you're constantly frustrated when you unconsciously go on autopilot and believe everything that comes out of a woman's mouth, where everything that comes out of her actions contradicts it. I mean, think about it. She keeps you on the string of proving yourself, usually through payments, and you don't even know if or when you're going to get paid yourself, or when the promise is going to be fulfilled. The most obvious example is sex, and because a man wants it so much, he keeps believing that eventually he'll get it if he just keeps proving and paying enough, because that's the way he's been told by his father, grandfather, history, the past. So for women, there's this constant payment that's needed as proof to them, and they'll keep you on that string without actually committing or having to give anything back for as long as possible. Men are happy being the heroes, where they're always proving and slaying dragons and, winning battles and coming back with the slab of meat on their shoulder and coming back with a paycheck. But ask women to do something functionally tactile in the world as proof that they care? When women ask, prove your love, men jump to it. They feel a surge of love to be able to prove themselves. Whereas asking a woman, think about it, when a woman asks a man to prove his love, he's actually acting in the proof. But when women resist and refuse to even take a step in their laziness to not even act and show that they love in some analogous way that men get off on, then no wonder women are bereft of any stability in love and constantly monkey branching, and because they feel insecure. He doesn't love me enough. He hasn't done this. Does he show you? Does he ring you 3 times a day? Has he bought you flowers? Has he taken you out? Has he? This constant stream of proof. It's this curious notion of once men are shown in whatever way they see that he determines that she does love him, then that's it. It's crossed off the checkbox. It's as though he's checked the oil on his car. It's a fact, and then he moves on. It's functionally true. There's some sort of connection to women's resistance to actually show or prove love that forever keeps them at a distance from it, constantly wanting to be filled up from a distance from it. They can never immerse themselves in knowing it and knowing the security of it. That's why they always need proof from the outside world. To a woman, ask her to prove that you love her or that you can trust her, like, something like a prenup. And just listen to the total disconnect of wanting to show the love to a man the way he needs it. Look, he's saying, look, I just had this small little anxiety. Can you sign a prenup? Or not that prenups mean shit, but can you sign a prenup or do X? That would really ease my mind, and I could confidently take the next step for you, and there would be nothing on the table. It would just be about you and I. And a woman, she doesn't care about the man's security. She doesn't care about the man's peace of mind. It doesn't care about his anxiety that she could easily mitigate with one quick stroke. It's always, you want me to do something? What? Do you want me to make you a sandwich or sign a piece of, oh God, you're gross. What's wrong with you? You sleaze. Oh, I never thought you were like that. It's this gaslighting and sophistry. Basically, the female royalty has this excuse of being offended to lift a finger, figuratively speaking, to prove anything to a man. She thinks, don't you even dare. And figure this into the equation too. Even if you're a human doing in this way and you love proving yourself through action because it's a way a man kind of in a tactile physical sense in the world knows something to be more true than just ideas, you prove it, you've done it, you've felt it, it is more true than just a theory. Consider this. When she doesn't even allow you to do and prove other things external to her, like catch up with your own friends and prove your own love for your hobby by going out fishing or spending time on your own, where she doesn't allow you to prove or connect with life in a tactile way like that, as proof that it exists and that you love it, like a hobby, what does it say about her, where you're only allowed to act in proof in relation to her? Basically, all your proof and all your doing and all your acting in the world has to be for her. It's really quite narcissistic. To her, she's judging you completely by your actions. It's always show me, show me, show me, which is a fairly rational way to be, but men don't actually do it when it comes to women. They tend to do it in every other aspect of life. With her, it's always this practical basis of show me so I can rationally believe it. But with her, it's like, how dare you? You need to just believe me. She just wishes and says, yeah, I'll give you this into the future. It's the same kind of wishful thinking. I'm sure they believe it on some level themselves, women, when they wish and promise these things. But it's like when they wish to lose weight next week or, on New Year's, I'm going to get fit. They like to believe and hope in the fantasy. But when they have to actually act on anything, female nature is exposed and she's too lazy to. Female nature wants to be fed. It seldom wants to feed itself. whereas men tend to feed themselves and their nature, and also society. So men tend to get fulfillment by feeding the external world and validating their preconceptions. It's validated by action. Women are forever kind of cyclical in their mind, wanting hopes to be reality without ever actually having to engage or act on anything. But recently, it's changing. So men are now starting to judge women through their actions. As I mentioned before, PROTEUS said a couple of times through his work, pay no attention to what a woman says and pay absolutely all of your attention to what she does. And men are doing this quite rationally, I might add. It's one of the very, very vanishingly few things one can learn from women is judge them on their actions, the way they judge men. Men are now asking, okay, what's in it for me before I act? Promises aren't enough. Just ask yourself, a man meets a stranger in the form of a female, and within this short space of time where trust has not even developed, he's ready to sign over his whole life, his future children, and basically everything to the hope of purity in this woman. Men are now saying, what are you going to do for me? And even then I'm suspect. Now, don't get me wrong. The purpose of me talking about women, again, isn't to provide tips in dating or anything. Far from it. It's just to clarify the environment, and it's to give you concepts that can figuratively act like splashing iced water on your face and being awake, a little more awake than you were a moment ago when life kind of puts you on autopilot. That's just something I've noticed. Men, if ever, seldom need proof of women. It's basically she's pretty and she's sweet and there's a nice engagement with them and you're sold. You're ready to buy them a ring and you're already thinking about a hopeful future while she's sizing you up and producing a mental litany of tests and hoops you need to jump through for proof. And it never ends. It's this constant cycle of proof. That's why women, they get bored. They fall out of love because you've stopped caring about providing proof, mainly because you think you're married and done deal. It's not just me that's locked in. She's locked in to a certain degree too. But women, with the divorce courts, as you know, and the laws, if you're not constantly proving to her by deifying her, she loses the tingle and she's out of love. That's her rationale. So it's very different to males. But it's just an interesting concept that came to me where men are sold quite quickly by the momentary thing they see and feel of a woman. And then they tick it off their list. Whereas that's just the beginning of a woman saying, okay, this is good raw material. Let's see how this raw material can keep proving to me and it keeps providing. Romantic love to a woman is essentially your continual proving of love to her. Love for a man is in essence the done deal at the start of the relationship when he knows he wants her. It's very different. Anyway, guys. And also, a man keeps believing in the best of women, while it seems women today believe in the worst of men. If you look at some of the recent videos I did and, this constant patriarchy, Me Too rubbish, and men, the heroes, keep thinking they need to do more. That's why they failed with the last woman. He thinks that's why she didn't love me enough, or I didn't do enough to live up to my end of the bargain. That's why she didn't fulfill her promise. No, to a woman, it's a constant prove your love, prove your love, prove your love. Anyway, later, gentlemen, go your own way. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon once you've subscribed to be notified of my next video. And feel free to donate through Patreon or PayPal. It keeps me creating more videos, and I really do appreciate it. A special thank you to those who have donated in double digits this month. I'm very grateful. Thanks, guys.